Okay guys, so this morning I'm actually getting water from my tank and putting it over in the bigger tank for the animals. And this is something that in a state of emergency you may have to do even if you're not off grid. And I'm gonna use my little ALLPOWER generator, solar power generator. I do have the panels. We're having a beautiful sunny day, so I can actually set up the panels at the same time. We'll see how much energy is going out and how much energy is coming in. Let me get it all set up. Okay, so it's handling that pole very easily, no problem. Now let's see, because you can see that it's at 52%. So I'm gonna hook in the solar panels and let's see how much energy is brought in from that. So here's the setup. Now, so we are definitely pulling out more than we're charging. But we'll see if this will unload the tank. It usually takes about 45 minutes to unload this tank. But this is great because I don't have to actually use gasoline, hook it up to my generator, and I can charge it. It's gonna be a gorgeous day all day today, and I'll be able to just leave this thing out and have it charged the whole time and get it up to 100%, and I was able to pump my water. So you may not think that you need one of these, but in an emergency, water is going to save your life. So I don't want to be dramatic or anything, but that's a reality of it. So if you can get water to your property, you then have to pump that water out. And I do have this particular pump that I have uses batteries. So I could just put my batteries on the charger on this and use the batteries to pump the water out. But it's actually faster with the pump when it's plugged in. So I kind of choose to use that. But if I have to get where I can't, maybe I don't have any sun, so I can't charge this at the same time, or if this is in the middle of being charged and I don't want to use it, then I can use the batteries, but I could also charge the batteries off of this little generator too. So even though it's small, it definitely could help you in an emergency quite a bit. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see, but it is at 45%. So running it for 45 minutes, emptied that entire tank, and now I'm just gonna let it go ahead and continue to charge because we're having a gorgeous day outside. I'm gonna go finish my errands. I don't even have to think about it. And this will be prepared for the next emergency. Have you guys ever had something just like push you to do and you're kind of like, but it's not time for me to do that, but I really need to do it anyway? Well, that's kind of how I've been about painting this living room floor, because we've had a week of really nice weather and then it's supposed to rain the rest of the month. And I was like, this is a good time to protect this floor. So pulled everything out of the living room and was working on unplugging the Bluetti and rerouting the cords so that I could block off the living room and vacuum and paint so the dogs can't get in there. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything, but I think I pretty much just saved our lives. Look at what happened. So apparently this sparked a flame or something and melted the cord that I have bringing the Bluetti in, and I had to pry it apart because this is the Bluetti cord that basically melted to my extension cord. So basically, if I had not stopped everything that I was doing in the kitchen and worked on this, I would have really not known, because I don't really mess with this plug. It's one of those things that it's plugged in, it's kind of pushed behind things off to the corner so I'm not stepping all over it, and I actually now don't have a plug to plug in the Blue Eddy to charge it. And the Blue Eddy's at 51%. I had planned on turning on the generator and charging up the Blue Eddy for the day while the paint was drying, because paint takes like 2 hours to dry. So now I'm not real sure what to do. I don't know if I can re-plug this cord, you know, cut this plug off and put a new plug on. It's kind of my only option. Otherwise, I have to shut down all of my electricity in order to wait for a cord from Blue Eddy. So I'm guessing the takeaway on this is that my extension cord is not a heavy duty enough extension cord to be running to charge the Blue Eddy. So I actually had that on my list. I put it on yesterday to pick up a better extension cord for this, because I knew I was pulling all this out and I wanted to replace the cord. Man, if this would have like lit on fire. See, I truly believe God pushes us to do things. Like, I had to talk myself into painting this floor, and you guys not getting mad at me for jumping around from project to project, but I would have not known this was happening. Okay, so this is the Blue Eddy cord, and I just purchased this replacement plug-in end. You want to make sure if your cord comes with 3 prongs that you replace it with 3 prongs. If it comes with 2 prongs, you replace it with 2 prongs. This was very simple. You just unscrew it right here, and don't lose that screw. Open it up, and you will see that there are 3 areas to connect to. So what you need to do is you need to cut about 1.5 to 2 inches off of your casing of your cord. I actually did it way too short here, and I had to go back and cut off more. But measure that out, because you want your cord to sit right in there, and those little cords on the inside need to actually separate. You can see I measured it right here, and then I went back and had to recut open some more. So if you get too much done, you could just come in with some electrical tape and wrap that all up. That is what I'm going to have to do, because, you know, of course I cut too much off the next time around. So inside the Blue Eddy cord, there's 3 cords. I have a grounding wire, which is the yellow with the green stripe, the white wire, which is my neutral, and the black wire, which is my hot. So you really need to make sure when you're putting these into this plug that you have that done correctly. But one of the tips that I saw in a couple of the videos that I watched is you want to take those inside each one of those little cords, those little wires, are tons of little strands of wire. So you need to twist those together, create a little bit of a J on the end with the wire so that you can then slip it in around the plugs and around the screws. When you tighten those in, it'll pull that in tighter, and then you have a really good connection. So you want to make sure to pay attention to the way that your screw is screwing in, and put your wire in accordingly so that it's turning with the screw and not against the screw, because then you'll start breaking all those tiny little wires, and you need as many of those as you can intact so that you have enough power to be able to come through. So just be really gentle when you're cutting off the casing of these wires and prepping this. And remember, if it gets a little crazy and you break off some, you could just redo another cut. Your cord will be shorter. You really want to make sure that you have good connection with those tiny little wires into the screw area. So your neutral, as you're looking inside this plug, you'll see that the screws and the connectors are different colors. Your hot wire, your black wire, goes to the brass side, and then your white wire goes to the silver side, and then the green wire is just down at the bottom. And it's very obvious that they're different. So you just want to make sure that you do that correctly. And I do have to say that I struggled because I've never done this before. So this was brand new for me. And you know, you have a little bit of that, oh, I want to do it right, all those kinds of things. And you're just not used to manhandling the wires around to get them to where they want to go. I think one of the tips that I have is I would definitely put your grounding wire in first. It was actually shorter, and then come up with the other two wires. I did it the opposite direction, so there was a little bit of struggle on that particular part, but it all went together. And I'm really glad that I went ahead and did this, because it was going to take 4 to 5 days to get a replacement wire in from Blue Eddy, and that replacement cord was $60. So I would have ended up having to spend quite a bit of money, where this plug end in was actually $3.50. So I was able to do this repair for $3.50, plus the added cost of the new extension cord, the proper extension cord for this particular job. So I've learned a huge lesson here, and you know, I know a lot of times on homesteading, it's use what you got and just get going and move on to the next thing. But I do think that I will be purchasing a few of these plugins to have on hand, so that they're just in a case in my tool area, so that I could easily repair things like this without having to drive into town. But two, that I will be vigilant on what extension cords are put where, because this really could have been a fire and could have burned down the whole thing, and was actually pretty scary. So it was something that I didn't know enough about, and you know what, that's okay. We learn as we go. Nobody was hurt. And now we're squared away, and I've learned a very valuable lesson. I was telling a friend of mine that I remember when my stepdad would do things like this, and I was so impressed by it. And it is impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot easier than what I thought it was, you know, at 10 years old when he would fix things. I'm not up to the point of fixing a fan if it breaks. He definitely did those things. We did not purchase something new unless he could not fix it. And so he would always take things off into his little shop, and he had this stuff right on hand to fix and repair it. But you know, the economy today, we can't afford, a lot of us can't afford to just run and replace. I don't really have $70 to replace this cord, or I'm sorry, it was like $57 plus shipping to fix this cord. And this was very doable and got me back up and running. So as much as I never thought that I would be buying, you know, $20 worth of little plug-ins, it's very handy to have on hand. This was very simple to do, and I will, in the future, if I need to do it, absolutely do it again. One of the things that I really want to discuss here, because those of you that know and have been watching the channel, you know that I'm completely off grid. I use my Blue Eddy for all of my power in my house. And this week, there were 2 situations where the Blue Eddy went down. One, where my generator completely died and I had to go replace it. I replaced it with one that did not have an inverter in the generator, and you have to have an inverter in your generator to charge these power banks. And then this situation with the cord, that all happened this week. So when my Blue Eddy is down for whatever reason, which I never expected it to be, but these are 2 situations that it was, I was able to turn around and grab my smaller power bank. And right now I am actually incubating quail eggs, and they cannot have a heat change or you lose all your quail. So I was able to plug in my incubator, and I wasn't too worried about my freezer, because your freezers can go a little bit at a time, and I knew that I would have this fixed and up and going pretty quickly. But I would have been able to plug in my freezer. I would have been able to do those things and keep the power bank, the ALLPOWER bank charged up and keep everything, the important things going until a fix could have been done. I could have done that for, they said ship out for the new Blue Eddy cord was 4 to 5 days. And then you have your travel time. So that would have been about a week of me needing to use this smaller power bank to keep my freezers frozen and my incubators going. I have definitely become of mind that these smaller power banks are super handy, and they've come in very handy quite often. So I highly recommend you getting one. I'll put a link in the description below for the one that I have.
Okay.
Ready?
Look, it's frozen.
Point it there. Can you see that number?
Yes.
It's working.
Yeah.
Show Grandma. In the video, point it at Grandma. It's working. Is my face giant?
It's a little giant.
It's a little giant?
I got a bear.
Okay.
Oh,
I got two puppies that are helping because the mama's squatting on the floor. Okay. Were you my helper? Did you help me get it all plugged in? That's the very first time I've ever done that. It was super simple. So I highly recommend, if you're in this situation, just do it. It's charging fine. There's no sparks or fires, so we're good. Where? Behind? You can't shoot towards Grandma. You got to shoot away from Grandma. Okay. Oh, that was nice. A little high. You could probably scoot back some. Oh, that's pretty good. Come on, get out of there. Get back over here. Come on, Hup. Justin, no. Chloe, come. Come on, Justin. Chloe. You guys aren't helpers. Come on, Justin. Hup. Nope. All right. I now get to paint the floor. Okay, and it's all painted. Now we just wait for it to dry. I got my fan on it. So it's pretty thick, but I need it that way. I used about a half a can. This is a 10 by 10 section. It's very thick. Chloe, don't. It says 2 to 4 hours to dry. I'm gonna assume the 4 hours because of how thick I put it on, but I am putting the fan on it, so that should help. It's amazing how big of a difference this makes. I'm probably gonna try to hold the rest of the other half of that can and redo it again right before winter. That way this floor, it's easier to clean. It's easier to clean. I can actually mop it, all of those things. So what a journey this took this week to get as much done as I did, which wasn't a lot, but I learned a lot. Make sure your extension cords are the size that you need if you did not know that. I personally, okay, in the back of my mind, I knew, but when I just grabbed one, you have to treat the Blue Eddy as if it's a heavy, like heavy equipment, basically. This cord ended up costing me $67 plus tax, and it is definitely big enough. I checked on Google, so we shouldn't have any more problems. Redoing that cord end was way easier than I thought it was going to be, so definitely dive in and give it a try if you've been on the fence of whether or not you should. I'm not an electrician. Don't take advice from me. This is just what I did, and it's worked. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell notification and the thumbs up on your way out. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Bye.